Hey everyone, it's Harley. Welcome to my first cosplay questions video. First off, please excuse the disaster that is my hair right now. I dyed it recently, so I have been avoiding washing it, as you should do when you dye your hair. Okay, so that's why it looks so incredibly messy right now. Okay, so first of all, what fabric do I use for each part of my Kyoko costume? I'm assuming you mean my magical Kyoko costume. So, I have it back here. So first let's look at the skirt. The skirt is the two parts over top. Some people consider this black part to be a top, but I decided to make it as part of her skirt. So it's kind of messy looking, but it works out fine when I put it on. So the bottom part here is a very fancy fabric that is Puta Soy, which is the kind of cotton satin. And you see it's very shiny and very fancy looking. The black part here is not exactly sure what it is, but I got it from like the really fancy section of Fabricana, and it's basically a non-stretchy black fabric that has like these little roses in it. Maybe. Yeah, it has roses all in it. And then the white fabric is the white part right here is just typical bias tape, which is bias tape out of the wrapper, which is just plain cotton, I think. Okay, and then for the top part, okay, so the white part down here is a kind of Puta Soy, same as the pink part, just a really fancy satin. So I want it to look really nice and fancy. The red part is just a average knit stretchy jersey fabric. See, it's very stretchy. So that I could like put it over top of me because I didn't want to make buttons. I always thought hers looked. Sorry, I didn't want to make a closure because I always thought her outfit looked like it just pulled over because there was no like distinct line here despite there being buttons. So that's why I made it out of really stretchy fabric. And then the bias tape is just the same bias tape that was on the skirt. And I felt like that worked out pretty well. The red part, hugged my body very accurately to how her outfit looks. And then I used a bit of fancier fabric since it is supposed to be like a really fancy magical girl. The bias tape turned out mostly well. I'm not very good at working with bias tape because I haven't worked with it very much. But all in all, it turned out pretty well. And then the black bow I used is the same rose fabric as the top skirt part. Okay, so I've gotten a lot of questions about my red versus blue halo helmet, so I'll try to do a general overall discussion about it. So here it is. The tutorial I used was impactcustoms.com, their tutorial. They're also known as Impact Props on Facebook. They're really awesome. They're really nice. They make lots of great Halo and a few other, weapons, full body armor, helmet, and stuff like that. So the first thing we did was, using their tutorial, we got the files for the Pepakura, which is like this program that you have to download on a PC. It doesn't work on Mac. And basically there's a few different versions of Pepakura. So the one version is a Pepakura maker, and you basically put in any 3D objects and it'll map it out for you. And so someone had already did this for a bunch of Halo helmets, so we got one that we liked how it looked. And so then I downloaded the Pepakura viewer, which let me just have access to the blueprints essentially. And the blueprints have like little tabs and little numbers and dashes where you fold and, all that great stuff. And so we just did that, we printed it out on regular printer paper, we glued it to cardstock, cut it out, we just, did that. That took like 6 hours per helmet basically, with, 1 to 3 of us working at a time. And then once we got all that, we got that frame, basic cardstock part down, we, layered it in fiberglass resin, one coat on the outside, and then I put a really haphazard, job on the inside, just to give it that basic structure. And then we covered it in Bondo filler, which we got at Home Depot. And once we did that and that all dried, we sanded it down with mostly 80 grit sandpaper, and I used my friend's electric sander, and that worked out pretty well in most parts. Like, you can see it's really smooth here. Oh, it's so nice, so smooth. So that was pretty good. And then we cut out the visor part because this was paper before. Spray painted it, like all of it, you know, once it was dried in sand. I think I only did one-ish layer of spray paint. And then I did a bunch of weathering on it. Since this was Texas and she's already full black, the only weathering I did was some silver hand painting. And that's mostly just like on like the edges and in the corners and stuff. I can see it here just to give it more of like a worn down look. Since, you know, she is obviously in a lot of fights and stuff like that. And then the visor was really kind of half done. We took like, you know those visors that are like clear at the top and so they have like the band and they're clear? We found black ones of those in the Asian dollar store near where I live. And so we bought those, and then we got orange cellophane to get it, you know, closer to the original halo color. And I put 2 layers of orange cellophane on top. And that's why it kind of has like this weird ribbing in here, because it's, you know, it's cellophane on top of whatever the visors are made of. And so that's just hot glued. And then that was, you know, really makeshift glued onto the inside there. If you can see it, you can see all like, see the cellophane coming out. So that's basically just hot glued and pressed into it. And then I added some EVA foam, basically just to give it that extra comfort and extra support so that, you know, it doesn't shake around too much when it's on my helmet. Sorry, when I'm wearing the helmet, so it doesn't shake around a bunch. I didn't do very much EVA foam. As you can see, I only really have like 1 layer of stuff. That's because I have a ginormous head. You probably don't realize, but my head is huge. I know Lauren and Selena actually put in a bunch of layers of EVA foam, like ridiculous amount. And, you know, that's what they wanted to do, and that fit them way better, and that's what they wanted. I just didn't really care if it shook around a lot, and I already had a huge head, and I knew I was going to be wearing a wig on top of it. So yeah, that's the basics of how I made this helmet. I'll be linking to the tutorial that I used down below as well. Okay, so where did I get my Sumiki wig and how I styled it? I have it here. I got it off of Taobao, and I've lost the link since then. I just searched Mikan Sumiki wig on Taobao, and I found like a pretty okay one. So it already came pre-cut, so that's pretty helpful. And I tried styling it a bit, but no matter what I did, it just didn't really look that nice. So I just kind of kept it looking mostly down and keeping it really messy. And so the bangs were actually already cut, and I just had to like trim them up a bit so it looked a bit cleaner, and that was about it. The only other thing I did was, this is a very, very dark purple. It looks black in a lot of photos, even though it's actually purple. You can't really see it, but you can kind of see it over here. So what I did was I got light purple wefts from a friend, and I just put those in the bottom. You can see it right here. I just sewed those right in the bottom to kind of add like a highlight effect, so it just have a bit more interest in the longer parts. And for those, I just sewed them right into it, like so. You can see so much hair. Yep, you can see I just sewed them right into the wefts there. Yeah. And that added a bit of interest, but the wig was already very close to what I wanted. It was already really messy, already pre-cut, already a nice dark shade of purple. So yeah, it's all overall very satisfied with it. This next question I got was, how did I style my curlaz wig? And I don't have my curlaz wig on me right now, but basically I found a wig on Fantasy Sheep that was curly, about this long. It's the same wig I used for my Iranian cosplay. There's a link in my FAQ somewhere, and I'll put it down in the bottom of this video as well. And it was a very, very thick, kind of wavy black wig. And I mean like very, very thick. Like I really lucked out with this wig. If it was any other wig, I probably would have had to combine 2 wigs to get that level of thickness. And then basically what I did was I just took the wig and then I just used a thin tooth comb and went like this. And it just made it stand up. So I did that all over, which made it super, super poofy. And then I just like hairsprayed that in place. And I cut the bangs a bit, but I didn't really do any cutting anywhere else because he has a very messy, poofy ball of hair. And that gave it the look that I wanted, so it turned out really well. So the next question is, what's my favorite cosplay or piece of cosplay to make? This one's kind of hard because, like, for me, my favorite cosplays are the ones where they turn out right the first time and I don't have to make them again. So I guess kind of like the best one that I made was just Faith Connor's, just because it all turned out more or less exactly how I wanted it to be, and it all fit very nicely, and I had to do almost no secondary alterations. And even though it was a really simple outfit, you know, at that time I finally had enough sewing experience that the simple outfit turned out really well. Other than that, I guess to say maybe my red versus blue Asian Texas helmet was really fun to make. Mostly just because, like, it was something I've never done before, and it was all really, really new to me, and I'd worked a little bit with props before, but I had almost no idea what I was doing when I went in, because I've never worked with fiberglass resin before. I've never worked with peppercure or cardstock before, and I never worked with Bondo specifically before. Especially since that cosplay I was able to make with 2 very close friends of mine, that, you know, really made it a lot more fun for all 3 of us to work together and all work very hard and just, like, consistently doing manual labor while also, like, hanging out and joking around and stuff. Why have I cosplayed the characters I have is next question. I don't know, that was kind of random. Like, I just kind of like go with whatever I feel like. Usually it's characters I feel very strongly attached to, or usually I go for, you know, my favorite character in the series first. And, you know, I also look into whether or not I like their outfit very much. A good example of that is my Ruko Matoy cosplay. I think Ruko is like an awesome character. I love Kill la Kill and how it's written, but I didn't really like her typical sailor outfit. You can see it right here. This outfit on this poster behind me. I don't really like that outfit for some reason. So that's why I went with her, like, jumpsuit, tracksuit. Her tracksuit outfit, that, like, the maroon one, because I just thought it looked a lot nicer, and I like the pants, and I like the ribbing on it, and I like the scarf, and, you know, that's what plays into it. You know, I choose a character that I like, and then decide, you know, but what outfit of them do I like the most, or do I like the outfits that, like, do I like any of the outfits that this character comes in? You know, that really plays into it. Another major thing that plays into it is, like, groups and stuff, if I will have any groups involved with it. And, you know, I love hanging out with friends during conventions, so, you know, groups play a lot into the decision-making process. You know, a lot of times I'll put group cosplays above individual cosplays just because I love hanging out with my friends and being the same, you know, being from the same fandom at the same time. And I think that's, like, just one of the best things ever. So yeah, it's more just, like, what I feel like. I don't have, like, a specific criteria or anything. So yeah. How much do I need to know about a character to cosplay them? Almost nothing, usually. I try to, you know, finish the series before I actually do cosplay them, just to, like, confirm, you know, that I like them. But a really good example of that is Junko Enoshima, which you can see behind me. Specifically this version of her. This Junko Enoshima. That's the Makuro disguised as Junko from Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. And, you know, before I even had read any Let's Plays for it, when I saw her character design, I just absolutely fell in love with her character design. And I was like, yep, that's the one I'm going to cosplay. That's it. And then I started, you know, reading it, reading the Let's Play of it, and I went, this is an amazing character. I love this character. I absolutely adore her. And, you know, spoiler alert, she dies in the first chapter. So you don't really get to see much of her in that outfit. until way, way later on when you learn about her background and her relation to her sister. And, you know, the second I saw her, I wanted to cosplay her, and now I've completed the entire Danganronpa 1 storyline and I know everything about her. And, you know, she's by far my favorite character. And that's just sort of a coincidence with how that worked out. Okay. My most expensive cosplay. My most expensive cosplay by far is my Princess Bubblegum costume because, first of all, that wig was an Arda wig, and it's a very, very long Arda wig, and I went through like 4 different wigs until I found a wig that I liked. So already that wig was something ridiculous, like $80 plus shipping, so it's like the most expensive wig I own. And then, you know, it's a very, very fancy dress, so the entirety of that dress is the pewter soy like I showed you in my Kyoko cosplay. So it's all this really, really fancy sateen fabric that's like really expensive. And then I have like 2 petticoats underneath, and I have like chiffon on like a bunch of pieces of it. And then there's like the price of the body paint as well. And you know, that's really like a huge costume. Like I have this huge pink skirt, and then I have like another layer of yellow, and it's all like super expensive fabric. And you know, and then it's like long sleeve, so that's, I think that totaled almost like $300 or something ridiculous like that. And you know, it's by far the most expensive costume I've ever made, and I don't really plan on ever making a costume that expensive. You know, for a little while, I tried to, you know, spread it out, because it was like, it's $300 on this one costume. It's like, you really, really, you know, put that into perspective, because then I have other costumes that cost like maybe $50 to make in total. My least expensive cosplay was probably like my Michael Jones cosplay, because that was a really like jokey cosplay, and we made it to be a joke, and that's why, you know, we cosplayed, you know, Gavin, Michael, and Lindsay to just kind of like joke around. So really the only thing I bought new, I think, was my wig, and that was only like $15 if I remember correctly. And so, you know, it's a $15 wig, a shirt that my sister already owned, my own pants, my own shoes, stuff I already owned, my own makeup. I think I bought like 2 new things of special thanks body paint, and then I borrowed another friend's, and then I had a bunch of colors already, you know, in my house, and then I used that to do my tattoos. I think that maybe cost like $5. So in total, that costume was like $20, which is really what I aimed for. Like, I was joking with my friends, because I literally spent more money on alcohol that day than I did on the actual costume I was wearing. And you know, the whole point of that costume was to be a joke, and so, you know, I didn't really want to spend a lot of money on it. Okay, last question is, you know, this is my most frequently asked question, I would say, which is, why don't you take out your piercings for your costumes? And my response to that is, why do you care? It's like, I make my costumes for myself, I wear my costumes for myself. I like how my piercings look. That's why I got them. That's why they're in my face, because I like how they look. And taking out piercings is the most annoying thing ever. Like, wearing retainers. I have retainers and I have to wear them for work, and I hate it. They're super annoying. Like, having the little pieces of plastic in your mouth that can fall out at any moment, and you can't eat or drink with them in, and like talking in them sucks. Like, why would I want to wear those? I'm making costumes for fun. Why should I put myself through extra pain when I love how I look with my piercings? And you know, to be honest, half the time I forgot they're there. You know, I'll just like post a picture and people be like, oh, I love your piercings. I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm wearing piercings. They're just, you know, they're just a part of my face, and I just don't think about it half the time. And when I do think about it, I'm like, oh, why should I care? You know, I love how they look. So I'm going to keep them for my costumes, because I love how they look, and at the end of the day, that's what matters the most. So yeah, that's all the questions I have. Keep being awesome, and I'll see you guys in the next video.